The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading. Well, joining us now here on the program, one side of the ag business that maybe we don't talk about a whole lot is different companies looking for funding, trying to get some of that capital investment to work on an idea or build their business, grow their business. And especially with the way the current economic climate is, I know more and more folks are looking for some of those opportunities. There's a lot of expansion throughout technology and ag, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to have a conversation about this. Joining us now, Greg Roberts from Funding Your Way. And Greg, thank you for being with us here today on the program. I hope you're doing well.
Doing great, Jesse. Glad to be here.
Let's start for folks who may not be aware of Funding Your Way. Can you give us just a little background on the company?
Yes. I originally, about 16 years, I worked with CPA firms and was an agency building company. And they worked with a lot of new businesses and startups and things like that. And one of the questions that I would ask them is, what else did you need besides, tax work and bookkeeping, all that? And they would say, money. We cannot get any money. And it's tough for a startup because banks look at them as a 100% risk. They don't have a track record. They don't really have an income, so to speak, most of them when they first start up. And so they look at it as a risky project, and the way their regulations are set up, they're just not geared to do it. So they usually reject a lot of startups. And so we've got some fantastic sources that we've put together, and especially on the agriculture side of things. I was telling you that that's really been a booming market the last year. Mm-hmm. And we've done a ton of startups. A lot of it is technology driven, but new ways to seed, new ways to water more efficiently, to use less land to produce more. And it's real exciting. And even vehicle wise, there's been so many advances in tractors and, all of the combines and things like that. Some of them are a lot of fun to just watch them in their process,
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think about that and that explosion in technology, and to your point, startups, a lot of times finding that capital, finding that working capital, that funding can be a challenge. And I think to your point, it is 100% risk for traditional banks. So they're looking for some of those folks to maybe step in and be that source of their capital. But I think too, this has even gotten heightened with just our current economic picture, Greg. I mean, talk about some of the different things that you've seen here. You mentioned really picked up and have been a boom in the last year or so. What are some of the things you've really seen, and what are some of those reasons that folks are maybe coming your way for some of that working capital?
Well, a lot of the institutional banking has been choked down, so to speak, on who they're allowed to serve right now. They're kind of, to put a word on it, they're a little bit running scared. There's been some banks that have failed that have been, pretty newsworthy and have gotten a lot of attention. And so that sends a ripple through the business. And so a lot of the banks have taken a step back on who they're going to finance and, just how much freedom they have, and regulations, have increased. And so that's helped us, even on the SBA side. Ran across situations where a lot of them don't let them include vehicles, on an SBA loan. And we do that all day long. That's not a problem for us. So to close that gap, we have stepped in there and made capital available for especially agriculture, because it doesn't have to be tied to an asset. In other words, if you're financing a piece of equipment, you really don't have to look at just financing that equipment. You can get a broad-based loan that covers far more than that. There's a lot of freedom and flexibility in the way you can arrange that loan. So for startups especially, it's been an amazing thing. I've really enjoyed it, actually.
I know you guys have a lot of different things on your website that make it, easy for folks to get started, get some of this, get some of the ball rolling, so to speak. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's the good thing about it, Jesse, is it's not a long drawn out process. I run into a lot of clients that say, I just tried to work with a bank and it was 3 months, 4 months, and then they told me no. And so our process is extremely trimmed down. We can have an answer on a lot of them in as little as 48 hours to 3 days, and you're not limited, as far as, what you're financing. And we make the process very easy. And like I say, there are several different types of loans that you can get.
Yeah.
And so you pretty much have a smorgasbord. As you can take a look at them and see if they fit your situation, and we can get you what you need comparatively quickly. And that's what most people are about, especially if they found equipment that they need, and they need to purchase that equipment a little quicker than normal. We've run into several situations where they said, I have a piece of equipment spotted, but I need to move pretty soon, and they're not going to hold it forever and things like that. So we try to step in there and speed that process up.
Well, I know folks can find more information, fundingyourway.biz. That's fundingyourway.biz. And some interesting things to think about is maybe ag companies listening in, entrepreneurs looking for some different ways to get working capital, et cetera, et cetera. Greg, this has been an interesting conversation today. As we kind of wrap it up here, what are some things you maybe want folks with the ag industry listening in today? What would you want to reiterate to them as they're looking at projects, expansion, things like that? What would you tell folks? What would you want them to really consider and think about here today?
Well, I want people to know that I want to be considered the go-to guy. If you have a project, and it's ag related, as far as if it's a commercial ranch, if it's equipment, capital, even if you're an established company, some of them are having a little problem getting capital from the banking industry. And so I'm a go-to guy, and I'm happy to talk about any type of situation that you have or what you're looking for. We've had people that's come to us with drawings on the back of a napkin. so we can go from there on up.
Well, sometimes the best ideas start on the back of a napkin or a piece of paper. I've seen that time and time again as well. Fundingyourway.biz for more info. Greg Roberts. Greg, this has been a fun conversation, a little bit different than what we normally talk about here on the program. So thanks for being with us, and we'll have to have a conversation again in the future.
All right, Jesse, I've really enjoyed it. You do the same. Take care.
Yes, take care. Thank you very much. Greg Roberts there with fundingyourway.biz joining us here today on Market Talk.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.